Diana McCullum.
Hey, I'm Andrew Rogme.
And this is Fan vs. Fan for The Flash. Aww.
Exactly is Grodd.
A giant telepathic ape with rage issues.
Harry's my friend. I'm not gonna just abandon him.
Indiana Jones much?
Chance to visit another dimension. Wasn't gonna miss that.
Alright, so let's recap on tonight's episode of The Flash. We see the Star Labs team going to Earth 2 to take down Solovar in Gorilla City, only to make things worse and open things up a little bit for Gorilla Grodd and Gypsy to come through to Earth 1 for the next episode. All the while, on Earth 1, Jesse and Wally figure out their relationship status. Update that Facebook. Anyway, let's get into today's episode. Let's talk about pros. Alright, so pros for tonight's episode. Diana, what did you like?
I don't know if you noticed, but there were talking gorillas.
They did have talking gorillas.
There was a considerable amount of gorillas.
A high mount.
High mount.
City worth.
And they looked really good.
The CGI was really strong in this episode.
Man, I mean, it's all. I think we've said that since the first day of Grodd.
Yeah.
But like, every time they add more gorillas and more incredible CG work, like. All of Gorilla City looked amazing. All those gorillas watching the fight. Ooh, the fight with Barry and Zalavar.
The fight was really good. The fight was...
I watch you play video games sometimes, and I think it is exciting, and that's what that was.
I mean, it was above video game CGI technology, which was great. Like it was above the level that I expected from a TV show with this budget. Like I'm not going to say that was the most flawless CGI fight sequence that I've ever seen in the world. I've seen definitely better CGI fight scenes in worse stories. Through major motion pictures and Zack Snyder films, I've seen better CGI in fights that make no sense with worse story. I thought this was really good, especially with the budget. I agree with you. CGI looked really, really good.
CGI looked good, but also just like a great fight for Flash. Just Cisco yelling at the moves. They're all not working for really legitimate reasons. Yeah. Like I really hate when Barry just can't beat villains because he's being dumb and his powers should be working. Like this was all just really good fight stuff.
Solovar is a good fighter.
Oh man, he's got talent.
Like,
and he's the gorillas don't speak very well, but they do seem really intelligent. I feel like they just don't speak English amongst themselves, I guess.
I don't quite know what the theme is there.
Like,
but
why is their grammar bad and their science is good?
Right. Their architecture game strong.
Oh yeah, they have some Michelangelo level sculpture.
Their Colosseum work is very good.
But don't ask them about adverbs. Don't do any of that.
They got a great city going on. That Colosseum scene was really good. The visual effects, the special effects, the choreography of it all, the running up the shield and being tossed off.
Solovar punching the ground to interrupt his
the ground smash shock move that felt very video game, but it looked really cool and it was really strong. Yeah, I dug it.
Yeah, is this your pro as well?
I mean, I'm definitely with you on the CGI of it all. I'm gonna say with the CGI of it all. I'm gonna say Tom Cavanaugh just having a blast pretending to be a gorilla.
Love Tom Cavanaugh.
Of course I do. Of course, him pretending to be a gorilla. It was like one of the funnest. That was a lot of fun.
I feel like your Tom Cavanaugh love is like Captain Cold love.
Okay, yeah, it might be. It might be.
Comes out of nowhere.
I like him doing anything. I'm like, look at him. I mean, look at him pretend to be a gorilla.
He wasn't a bad fake gorilla. I'm sure he had a lot of fun on set that day, where he's like, oh my god, I get to play two people and one of them's a gorilla.
Right.
That's a good day for an actor.
Yeah. I agree with you there.
It was fun to see Old Wells. I mean, I almost don't want to say it's a pro because it reminded me that I like Harry a lot more than I like HR.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And I kind of wish Harry would come back and HR would kind of just leave a little. I don't really hate HR, but I really like Harry and I miss him.
Yeah. Harry is the better character.
Or just two Tom Cavanaughs because you love Tom Cavanaugh.
Or just keep them both around. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you that Harry does a better job of propelling the plot, and HR is just more of a punchline machine for the most part.
Punchline machine. That's a great point.
Which you kind of need someone on the team doing that. The weird thing was that in tonight's episode, and we even had some people in the chat mentioning that, like Dave Foamsby, mentioning that Julian had some of the best lines of the night. And Foamsby in the chat room is not wrong. Julian did have some of the best one-line quip moments of the night because the second that they're removed from HR, someone else needed to become the joke machine.
Cisco was there.
Cisco was there, but Cisco's a different kind of one. That Cisco's not the butt of the joke. Mm-hmm. Cisco is the, I have a dad joke punchline.
I have a pun.
But HR, and now on Earth 2 when they moved over there, Julian was the, I'm also kind of a dummy. You can kind of make fun of me. I pick up for myself a little. but like they are the lightning rod of the group for making fun of someone. And like it became a little bit more obvious once Julian was over there with them and HR was still on Earth 1.
I guess. I mean, that does explain what Julian was there to contribute, because he didn't do anything else over there.
No, he didn't do anything other than wear like a fun Curious George hat. You know what I mean? Like that was all he was bringing to the game.
He's a very curious man.
He's a curious man. Yeah.
He loves adventure.
Yeah.
Anything else going on in the chat?
What do we got going on in the chat there now? We got Punchline Machine should be a new villain, is what Fonzie the Capybara is saying.
They could fight Death Wish, which is Iris.
Yeah. A lot of people are sad that there's no Dustin, the Dustin Man.
Dustin he was in the
Dustin
recap, wasn't he?
Well, I don't think he wasn't. Or they did. Did they show him briefly in the recap?
Because they showed Gypsy, and I was like, "Yay, Gypsy!"
They might have. Yeah, they might have had him in the recap. Senior Titan saying that he liked the pull a reverse Flash.
Oh yes. But it seemed like he just punched him, though.
Yeah, there are some inconsistencies there that, like, because the reverse flash is the vibrate through, shut that heart down.
Yeah.
And he started doing the vibration, and then Solovar
just, like,
jumped
flew
at
away.
him and, like, took, like, just a body blow punch and kind of flew away. So, I don't know. I like the idea of, like, pull a reverse flash. That, I don't know if they just couldn't commit script-wise to be like, but we don't want him to actually kill a thing. I don't quite know what the reaction to that was.
Yeah, it seemed like they wanted to like say a cool line, which was pull a reverse flash, but it really was just a punch.
Yeah.
It's just throw a punch, Barry.
Yeah. But other than that misunderstanding, I feel like the CGI and the fight work and Tom Cavanaugh are some of the big pros for me.
Excellent.
I'm glad that we agree on that, but that's enough about the pros. Let's get into the dirty stuff. Let's talk about cons. All right, so cons for tonight's episode. Diana, what didn't you like?
This really hurts me to say, but I hated Jessie Quick in this episode.
I'm with you on that one.
Oh, I love Jessie. I think she's been so great this whole show. Well, last season, I guess. Anyway.
I've been excited for her to come back.
I was so excited. Saw her in the trailer, saw her coming back. Like, and also Gypsy was supposed to be in this episode. I'm like, what a great episode for cool ladies. And then Gypsy's only in it half a second at the end, and Jessie is just the worst. She was mad at Wally because he hasn't called from a different Earth.
I don't know what that was. And she didn't know he had powers. She was like, since you've had powers, you've been really busy. I'm like, it seems like you haven't talked at all. Like, this is a two-way street.
It's not like you called and he didn't pick up. You guys live on different Earths.
Your dad was kidnapped by gorillas. You both have stuff going on. Like, I didn't understand any of this real passive, boring Jessie.
Yeah, it seemed like they were setting up that she was, like, lying about something.
Yeah.
Like, she was sending them into a trap, or she had, like, a boyfriend on the other Earth, which I would have been like, cool, you don't know how to tell him.
That's what I thought,
Yeah, you don't know how to tell him you've moved on accidentally. Yeah. But what they actually went with was just awful writing. It wasn't compelling. It didn't make any sense. It didn't fit her character. It came out of nowhere.
And she suited up once, and she just stood there and just watched Wally stop two random criminals.
And then be really proud of himself. Like, I feel like I could have stopped those guys.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense that she just showed up this episode just to sit by.
And the fact that she doesn't go to save her own father.
She doesn't go to save her own father because they're like, because Barry says we need a speedster on Earth 1. Like, you have one, Wally.
He's been training Wally.
And then Wally's like, watch this. So she just sits around thinking about her dad, waiting for a male speedster to save her dad, and then just watching a male speedster save this city. I'm like, why the hell is she here? Why I don't understand.
Why did she come to get help?
Yeah.
Because she didn't know.
I was expecting fun, cool, like tough adventure time Jessie, where before Wally had powers and before Wally had powers, it was just really fun and playful. It was great.
She was fun and playful, but she was always also really responsible, and like she didn't rush into danger. Like she was everything I want in a superhero.
Yeah.
And now she's like too responsible, I guess, because she won't rush into danger to save her dad.
I guess.
Or like just listens to Barry when he says stay here.
Yeah, but like it just didn't make any sense. It was
really upsetting.
And even outside of the, like, wait a minute, that motivation doesn't make sense. It was just really poor character writing. Her interactions were bad. The way she talked with Wally didn't make sense. Her direction seemed real messed up.
Her motivations weren't clear in any way.
Yeah, she seemed bashful at times, and I'm like, what is happening with your character? I couldn't follow it.
I couldn't follow it at all. Especially considering Earth 2 is, like, her Earth to protect now. Like, she's the only speedster on that planet. She's protecting it. And, like, I understand coming to Barry for help, but if you come for Barry for help, you also, like, go with him.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't go to get,
You
like,
come to
Supergirl to
assemble
help
a
him
team.
and then stay on Supergirl's world.
Yeah, that would be weird if that was the crossover event with the other ones, you know? Yeah.
Supergirl shows up on The Flash and Barry isn't there.
Yeah, it was rough. It was really rough. And one thing that I will say that is both a pro and a con for this episode for me, which is the fact that Caitlyn's acting was better than her acting. Like, her pretending to be upset about the Flash's death. Her character in-universe acting is better than her as an actor acting. I almost couldn't process it. There were so many layers.
You're like, oh, I see why.
Like, what the hell?
Grodd fell for this.
You had this?
Because earlier they had a scene where they were legitimately talking about killing Cisco, and you were kind of just like, not that you weren't paying attention, but you were like, what a fun, joking scene. I'm like, they're seriously talking about killing Cisco.
No one,
their plan.
No one delivered those lines like they were about to murder their best friend. The way everyone just kept talking and be like, well, I guess the way to kill him, to stop him, is to kill Cisco. Okay, well, if I use my freeze powers, I could kill Cisco.
Should we do a pros and cons list real quick about killing Cisco? Raise your hands, guys.
And then
shall we
even
take a vote?
Even when Julian was like, but if you kill him, you'll go too far. And that's when it was all started settling in and being like, wait a minute, is this legit a very plain conversation you're all having about murdering your friend?
Like, how bored in those cells are you? We're like, what if we killed Cisco?
Yeah, what if we killed Cisco? Okay, let's talk about this unemotionally. That didn't track for me.
Yeah, none of that tracked. It was a crazy cons.
All right, what do we got going on in the chat room here? What have you been seeing, Will?
We've got lots of talk about Grodd's plan being a con.
Oh yes, Grodd's plan was very convoluted.
Yeah, it was very convoluted. Grodd's plan was to get the Flash to have a fight where he beats Solovar to get Cisco for dimensional portals to invade Earth 1.
But he already had Gypsy.
Or someone had Gypsy, but maybe Solovar didn't want to use Gypsy because he didn't want to go to Earth 1?
Yeah, I don't see why he couldn't just trick, like, Jesse into fighting Solovar or any other human into coming into the city.
It was a pretty loose plan, and I'm going to say this is a pretty loose two-part event. Like, this is supposed to be a two-parter, and they feel very vaguely related. Like, we could have skipped part 1. I'm confident enough that this is just a disjointed, Gypsy is mind-controlled story, that if you just didn't see this episode, you could jump into the next episode and be like, oh, okay, this is the only episode to worry about.
You really could, because if you didn't know Solovar ever existed, you'd just be like, oh, Grodd rules Gorilla City, and he caught Gypsy. Okay, well, let's go.
Yeah.
That's literally all that happened.
Further to Grodd's crappy plan, many were pointing out that Wells has his own dimensional transporter, so, like, why...
Oh, yes, Wells can jump whenever he wants.
Yeah.
And Cisco's made a bunch of those, too. He gave Supergirl one. You don't need people.
You don't, I don't think, but I guess the gorilla...
Wait a minute, Gypsy's from, like, Earth 19.
Yes, someone brought that up in the...
Gypsy isn't from this Earth.
Someone was bringing that up in the thread. I can't remember who it was. I'm sorry, I've already lost the...
Fonzie the Capybara.
Fonzie the Capybara was
Fonzie.
bringing up... Thank you, Fonzie. Bringing up in the thread, that she's from Earth 19 and supposed to hunt down people who broke it. The only logical explanation for her being there that I can think of is that someone from Earth 19 traveled to Earth 2, and then in the process of hunting down that person on Earth 2, got captured by Grodd on Earth 2.
I mean, if I could jump universes, I would go check out Gorilla City.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
I get it. I'd be like, I just gotta go check out these gorillas real quick.
So, that's the only logical explanation I can think of for him having Gypsy.
Unless Earth 2 just has a Gypsy.
Yeah,
well.
I don't know about that.
But they don't have metahumans. Oh, they do have metahumans.
They have metahumans, yeah. But I don't think they would introduce a second version of Gypsy.
Because then she won't know Cisco or have the backstory.
Yeah, and what's the point then of even having the flashbacks or the emotional connection? So I'm willing to bet it's that Gypsy. But I almost would have preferred to see that sideline than this episode.
Yeah,
feel like Gypsy hunting down someone on Earth 2 and getting captured by Grodd.
Oh, I would watch a full Gypsy episode. Are you listening, CW?
All of the things.
Gypsy.
Yeah.
And Jesse better written.
Yeah.
Just to team up.
Yeah. But I think that's enough for trashing on the problems with tonight's episode. That's enough for the cons. Let's get into Easter eggs. All right, so Easter eggs for tonight's episode. Diana, what did you find?
All right, well, we're going to start with Gorilla City, which maybe you all know. In the comic books, Gorilla City is not just... I don't know where these apes came from. I guess they're just smart apes on Earth, too.
Apes get smart.
I guess it just happens. In the comics, a meteor struck and made them smart.
Okay.
And then they progressed faster than humans, but they wanted to hide, so they made a city, but it's hidden with a cloaking device. And Salivar is pretty much always the leader of Gorilla City. He's a good guy, which made us believe pretty early on that Grodd was going to betray them. And yeah, he usually helps the Flash and is like, sorry about Grodd. We know he's a troublemaker.
Listen, he's a bit of a D. We all know it. We all know it. We don't like him. We've never been a fan of him.
If you could just make a prison that would hold him for good, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So yeah, went to Gorilla City. We met Salivar. The only other really one we talked about Bloodhaven very briefly. So Bloodhaven is pretty close to Gotham. It's kind of a similar city, just really dirty. It's where Nightwing works most of the time once he starts Nightwinging. Yeah. And these are just the fun universe things we got going on.
Cool. Yeah, so that's what we have going on tonight. Now, one thing that I will say with Salivar that I almost want to kind of go back to for a second is that I
feel like you put Savitar and Salivar together.
Salivar. What did I say? Salivatar? Salivatar? Salivate. So the reason that I want to talk about salivation.
Moisture's important.
Yeah. Salivar.
Solivar.
Solivar.
S-O-L.
Yeah. Salivar.
Solivar.
It's an A.
It's S-O-L.
It's S-O-L?
Yeah.
Solivar. So
fun.
We're losing our minds here. We're losing our minds. The one thing that I will say about Solivar is that I almost do have a complaint around the fact that this was an underutilization of Keith David.
On the episode. Totally fair.
So voice legend Keith David was the voice of Salivation. I don't even care anymore. I don't even care about getting it right anymore.
This episode should have been about everyone that it wasn't about. It should have been about Gypsy. It should have been about Jesse. It should have been about Keith David.
Yep.
Not even Salivar. It should have been about Keith David.
Voice legend Keith David. Like a voice so powerful it can move you to a different state just by hearing it. Like it has that kind of reverberation to it.
He could probably jump to Earth 1.
Yeah. Just
via the power of his voice.
From the power of speech. Very underutilized and just a couple of sentences really. Like felt like a real wasted guest star.
Yeah, maybe 4 sentences because I don't think he did any trash talking once the fight started.
Yeah.
And then he spoke through Cisco and I was like, come on guys.
When he did speak it was good, but the fact that they handed it off to him speaking through Cisco, and I'm like, I didn't come here to see Cisco do an impression of Keith David.
Nobody came here for that.
No one wants to do an impression of Keith David. It's a voice you can't do an impression of because it moves the planets.
You will always be a sham.
Yeah.
You'll always be a failure.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that was just one little side note for me on tonight's episode.
Well, one Easter egg they're mentioning in the chat. Tom Felton, co-star of the movie Rise of the Planet of the Apes. They had that whole Planet of the Apes scene.
Oh, Tom Felton apparently was in these Apes movies that I have not seen. These new ape movies.
Huh. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is the upcoming one. Because it was the first one.
Yes.
Really?
Because they got a Rise first.
It was Rise, and then Dawn, and then what's this? War? Something. One of the Planet of the Apes movies. Felton was in that? What is happening here?
Probably the same hat.
Yeah.
But he just,
I hope it was.
I hope he brought his hat from set.
I hated that hat so much.
You did.
I was also
you're
very.
Going to a steakhouse in that hat.
The fact that he didn't take it off when they got back to Central City, the fact that HR got his friggin' fedora back really bothered me as well.
Oh, I thought that was just to differentiate them in the scene.
I don't care.
Easily.
Burn that fedora. Okay. Someone on Earth 1 should have told him to burn that by now. That's not good.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you for that Easter egg. We missed that one because I didn't see those movies.
Okay. But yeah, so now next week is going to be part 2. I think before we come back, before we leave here tonight and see everybody next week. I don't know what to expect from part 2. Now, this was a little bit underwhelming, in all honesty, for the Gorilla City 2-part epic.
I mean, I liked the parts that were in Gorilla City. All the Jesse and Wally stuff was awful, but all the Gorilla City stuff was interesting. I thought, well done. I don't know what they're gonna do because Flash can't fight. He couldn't even beat one gorilla barely.
He had a tough time.
So I don't know what we're gonna do next episode with a
whole bunch of them.
I feel like it's just gonna be an episode where Cisco just keeps opening portals in front of gorillas. It's like, get out of here. Go.
Right. And I also feel like this is going to be a big game changer for Central City as well. To be like, they've never had to confront the fact of being like, oh, there's hundreds of super intelligent gorillas coming to us from another dimension, huh?
Oh, well, Zoom brought in a bunch of villains from Earth 2 last year.
Yeah, but all of them were under the table. Like, the city was never...
No, they sieged the city.
That's true.
They sieged it.
I still feel like metahumans and the problems the city's been dealing with have, like, been one thing. Mm-hmm. Portals opening up and dropping super intelligent, extra large gorillas on a city is going to be a next level of Central City being like, we have to address that there is a problem.
Can we call the people from the show powerless? Yeah. We are going to need some stuff to help us protect our city. No, I totally agree. Yeah, it's going to be a very different day. Yeah. Because at least, like, they're used to super villains. They're not used to, like, a lot of them, like Zoom did. Yeah. It's usually one at a time. But they're definitely not used to multiple intelligent gorillas attacking them.
Yeah, no one is.
No one is.
No one's ready for that. No one's ready for that.
You're not ready for this?
No. But we'll be ready for that when we come back next week to watch it.
And this week and every other week, you can find us here on YouTube. You can subscribe below.
Yeah, be sure to subscribe to Dorkshelf below.
And you can subscribe to Dorkshelf on Twitter at Dorkshelf. You can find us at FromSuperheroes.com.
That's where we're at.
And you can find us here next week. I'm Diana McCollum.
I'm Andrew Rodney.
Kicked him out!